It's Rock 30, Bill and Jay's excellent podcast, with your hosts, Billy Quinton and Jay Odom. Our guests this evening are Greg Harvey, Barry Rose, and Randy Talley. Let's roll!
All right, welcome to Season 2. We're still Season 2, but this is Episode 3. How big time are we that we're like Season 2?
I know. We
that sounds so professional.
Picked up for a second season.
Yeah,
That's
but we got a good one, man. This is our first return guest. I know we can kind of say Stan Britton was, but he came in an emergency talking school bond. We're not counting Stan. But we've already had Coach Rose and Coach Harvey here. We had Coach Talley in a solo appearance, but it's baseball season.
That's right.
What better guys to bring in to kind of preview baseball season upcoming than the head coach of the Rockwall Yellow Jackets, the head coach of the Heath Hawks, and then the godfather of just Rockwall ISD baseball. None of this has happened without him.
The legend.
He tells me that every day, so I got to mention it. But it's great to have y'all here. This is going to be good.
It is.
Yeah. So no pressure. We
I
want
can't
you to do
believe
better
you
than
came
last
back.
time.
I don't know how we got you back.
Right.
Pay well.
2 words.
2 words.
Troy Aikman.
What are you talking about?
Well,
How stupid that sounds when Jack Buck says that. And
I didn't say Hall of Famer.
No, you've done great at that.
I didn't say it. No, it will come up.
No, I hope not.
When we bring back the game from commercial, and I'll say we're at Talley Field, named after Cole Talley, which is a weird thing. He was a former Yellow Jacket player. I'm not sure why he got the field named after him.
Susan Talley.
Yeah,
She's one of
Suzanne
our
Talley.
barbers
Yeah.
that has a horse at our place.
But guys, thanks. Amongst all 5 of us, I think we have around what we got, about 800 wins. You know, how many wins do you have, Coach Harvey? You're at over 500, right?
Oh my God!
I got the numbers here.
It's 1,100.
11 is 1,100?
Oh yeah.
Because you have what, 350?
Yeah.
Right.
You got over 500. You got 350. And,
You got what, 450?
no, four.
He goes over
19
500
away.
this year.
481.
41. Okay.
Who's counting?
So we've got a lot of wins. You're right.
Yeah, and then throw me and Jay's wins in, and it still stays
we're
at 1,100. But
I thought you were going to count your little dribblers basketball.
Oh, were you a coach? I didn't know you had coaching experience.
I coached in competitive rowlette league, so we're going to throw that in. We had a few good games.
I didn't know you had experience.
Yeah, a lot of those. Then t-ball back in the day. What do we always joke around about? The best 3 hours in sports is 1 inning of t-ball.
The best.
I get to hit once.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, we'll throw mine in, and we'll get over that 1,000.
My best trivia question ever is: bases loaded, t-ball game. You're the runner at second base. Ball hit between the third baseman and the shortstop on the ground, goes to left field. When do you leave second base? When the runner at first shows up.
Oh man, that's great. And so, so we talk about it here. We got baseball season starting, kind of a slow start because of the weather.
Where are we in the season?
I could tell you.
Just started.
Yeah, but 3-1, the Yellow Jackets 3-1, and then 2-0 for the Hawks. Should have a few more games under their belt, but tournaments were canceled because of the bad weather. In the past week or two. Is that the first time y'all have had to deal with that?
No.
Okay, you've had it before.
Not at all.
Okay.
Yeah.
You've already got 2 games in?
Yeah.
And you've got 4 in?
3.
We played Friday,
Okay.
and it was cold,
Yeah.
very cold.
Ooh, it was.
And then we played 2,
Oh,
and
that's
then we
right.
played
Mitch
2
at
Saturday.
5.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
One year, 2015, we were 2-4 going into the district. 3 tournaments, we played 6 games.
Wow.
Oh, wow. Well, and then, you were going to go to the Georgetown. Hawks were going to the Georgetown tournament.
Yep.
Y'all been doing that for years.
Yeah.
And then Hill Country Classic,
Yeah,
was that the
Westlake
Rockwall?
and Dripping Springs.
And you've been there for a few years.
Last
been
couple
doing
years we've gone down. We were supposed to go down in 22, and we couldn't make it out of town. It was ice that year too. So that was probably worse than this year.
Yeah, that's true.
Cold-wise,
Yeah, it was just mostly cold for this one.
Snowmageddon, wasn't it?
That was ice.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, when all the power was out and all that stuff. I forgot
Yep.
about that. Yeah, we hung around the fireplace for a long time there. Okay, so let's go ahead. I'll give everybody an update. We'll start with Coach Harvey. So far this year, we just said they're 2-0, but last year, 34-9. Right, or is it 34-10? I've seen two different ones.
I don't know.
Well, we're gonna say
think
9.
It was 9. But
9
I'm not
sounds
sure.
better.
Let's go with 9.
12-0 in district champs. Not the first time Heath has won district, but you go into the regional semis. You defeat Rowlett 2-0. Then you go to area Lake Ridge, an area round. You beat Lake Ridge 2-0. Mansfield Legacy 2-0. And then you start out 1-0 over Bridgeland, and unfortunately dropped the last two. Give us a little recap on last year, what you remember about last year. And I know for somebody that's won 2 state championships, you probably sit there going, unless we're playing the last game of the year, this ain't a successful season. But kind of talk a little bit about last year and what you remember about it, and some things you want to work on this year.
Yeah, we went into last year with high expectations and high hopes. We were going into that Bridgeland series, we felt good. We felt like we were the better team, and we just didn't perform. We had a chance to win the game in Game 2, and when we didn't win it, then we came back in Game 3, and we got shut out in the first game of the year, and we got shut out in the last game of the year, and we just couldn't score a run. And we were disappointed. We expected to move on. We felt like we had a good team that we would have run into Tomball the next round, but we wanted to take our chances there and see what would happen. But we have a lot of guys coming back from that team, and a little bit of a chip on their shoulder, hopefully. And we want to get back to that spot and hopefully keep going.
So let's talk a little bit about a few of the guys coming back. Who are some of the big names that are coming back? I know you had Ammerman pitching well. He's back, right?
Ammerman's back.
Yeah.
Ian Rister on the mound. He's back. In the field, we got Brady Lattisaw. He's back. Parker Ivy's back. Alex Cooley, our shortstop, is back. Preston Lewis, he's back. He was hurt a lot of last year, but we expect him to have a good year.
So not a whole lot of seniors gone, huh?
Well, we didn't lose a whole lot last year. We lost, obviously, our shortstop last year, our second baseman, Jabin Moore. Lost him. Lost Caleb Hoover. That's a big one.
Yeah.
And some guys that certainly helped us last year. But for the most part, most of the lineup's back. Most of the pitching's back, minus Caleb, and a couple others. But we feel good about it. We got to go play. We got to go perform. But if you look at it on paper, it looks pretty good. That doesn't mean much, but
that's what you got.
That's what we got.
Yeah. All right. And some new faces. Who's some players that people are going to start seeing doing some stuff that they're not going to recognize at first?
We have a good host of junior players. We have Mick Randall, who will be one of our guys that we're going to depend on. He's going to play second base and hopefully be in the 2-hole for us. Him, along with another guy we have coming back is Tyson Barkley. Now Tyson got hurt, and he's still dealing with that injury, so he's a little bit on the shelf right now. We're going to use him on the mound, but we have Kyle Bryant is going to pitch for us. Colton Flowers will pitch for us. Those are guys that didn't get much time last year, but they're getting significant time this year.
Okay. All right. We'll jump over here to Coach Rose real quick. Last year, Rockwall goes 27-11-2, 7-5 in district play. Got second in district. Then caught fire once the playoffs start. And you got Wiley East to beat them 2-0. Mansfield and area round beat them 2-0. Midway 2-1 in the quarter, in regional quarters, and then the regional semis finally go down to Tomball 2-0. Both those games relatively close against Tomball. We were talking about it earlier out there at Georgetown East. And so, Coach Rose, let's talk about last year and what you saw last year, because I have to say, you start district 0-4. And that was a crazy thing. I think me and Talley were sitting there going, I don't know when this has ever happened. And then you take off and end up rallying, going 7-5. What did you learn from last year? And what was some of the high points that you remember?
Well, we had loaded team in 23,
Yep.
and losing a lot of those guys. Really, it was just a couple guys back last year, Pearson Reebok and Jake Overstreet, and so a lot of new guys, and just kind of took a while, and starting off 0-4 in district.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how many teams made the 4th round ever that started off 0-4 in district.
Yeah,
and that's not something I want to try and set set the record on. But it's certainly something I was proud of that group for doing. The way that they just kind of stayed the course and persevered through that, and and then going into the playoffs. I mean, I felt good. Like I felt like we were better than Wiley East. I felt like we were better than Mansfield. Felt like we were better than Midway, and when we got to Tomball, it's kind of like when you get to the 4th round, there's 16 teams left in the state. It's kind of like, hey man, everybody's playing good. Let's just kind of let it hang out and play. And they were two pretty close games.
That Tomball was loaded though.
They were very talented. Yeah, they were very talented. And so we graduated. Losing Reebok and Overstreet. That's some big ones, guys that have been 4-year varsity guys, 3-year starters. Mm-hmm. But I'm excited about what we've got now. We got some new faces and guys that are guys that have waited and they've worked while they waited, and they're ready to step in and get after it.
Yeah, let's talk about some of those new faces. Who are some of the people that we're gonna see a lot more of this year?
Well, we've got a handful of guys that are back from last year that played quite a bit. Like Mason Pate was all district center fielder. Mm-hmm. Jake Pickering DH quite a bit. He didn't catch much because Overstreet, but he'll be our main guy behind the plate this year. Tristan Rayleigh was an all district second baseman. Charlie Mahaffey was our 2-hole hitter. Is back, and we've got, unfortunately, lost Dylan Cheek to an injury in football. Whether he makes it back towards the end of the year, I don't know or not. But we've had some new guys come in, and just like Coach Harvey was saying, some juniors that you don't really know about, but they're guys that are they've earned their time. Like Brent Solis has played third base, played really well last weekend. Drawing a blank. Well, Hudson Holt,
I was going to ask about
Hudson Holt started as a freshman last year.
Yeah.
He's kind of taken that next step, and he's hitting in the middle of the lineup now. And Victor Montanez was another one that started some games early. He and with the injury at shortstop, Vic has stepped in, and he's very solid there. Good. And he's really earned. It makes you kind of proud. Like some of these guys, and our programs are both very similar. That we're deep, and some of these guys don't get to play, until they're juniors or seniors. Mm-hmm. And they work, and they keep working, and then they eventually earn it. Nobody gets a turn to play, but they've earned the chance to get in there. So it's kind of cool when they do that.
You get some surprises, some kids coming back from being a junior, hit their senior year, and just bam.
Well, it's either, a lot of times it's after their sophomore year. When they come back, it's like, okay, they hit,
they hit this summer.
A lot of guys hit that growth spurt. Some guys it takes another year. Like Brent Solis is a guy that he was on our varsity all last year. He just wasn't quite ready to go, and he had Landon Locke in front of him, and Landon, still should be playing baseball, but graduated at semester.
Talley ruined that.
I mean, I guess it's okay to go. I guess it's okay to go play quarterback at some school.
Whatever.
Some school.
I mean,
in Huntsville.
Yeah.
I don't know where it is. Somewhere down south. But but Brent worked all last year, and he's ready to go. So it's kind of cool to see those guys that they come back and they're in there.
So I want to go to Coach Talley here. We talk about this district, or our school district with Rockwall and Heath baseball. It's like, I don't know if there's another two teams that are as good as these two in the same district. There's a few, but not many. And this all starts when you take over as the baseball coach way back in the day. When was it, 91?
Yeah, but giving me way too much credit.
Well, we are. This is what we're going to do. You told me to give you all the credits. That's what I'm doing.
You asked for it before we started.
When we started,
said how much. You're the Godfather.
Yeah, you're the Godfather. On your daughter's day of wedding, or with the daughter's wedding day, you got to give in to all the requests.
I don't know you know, where it came from.
Yeah.
I think it was being hungry and needing a job and needing to convince the people in Rockwall that I was their guy.
Like
Right. 'Cause
literally
you were
hungry.
football. You were mostly football, right? Up until this point.
This was getting a job as a football coach.
Right.
Baseball was in the rearview mirror. And I slammed my hand down. Well, Flint asked me, why do I want to coach? Why do I want to hire a 37-year-old coach? That was old. Every one of them were 29 or 30. Actually, 29 or 30 years old. They were all
This is Flint
barely
Rising.
old enough to fight in the war.
This is Flint Rising.
Yes, yeah.
Do you have another story about Flint Rising?
I have a house.
Can they be said on the podcast?
Michelle
Okay.
Morris told me to ask you
But,
that. So, you know,
I slammed my hand, and why do I want to hire you as an offensive line coach? You've never coached a down of offensive ball in your life. And I slammed my hand down and pointed my finger right at him and said, because I'm the best coach available in Texas to you right now.
Wow.
And I won't tell you what the rest was said, but we left,
Yeah.
and he hired me.
Okay.
right.
Okay.
And so then baseball coaches just started falling. Gaffney's dad, Rich, he got a principal's job. He was the baseball coach, left. Hired Bill Clay. Bill left after 2 years, and Flint asked me to find him a baseball coach, and I got Jim Watkins out of the Jacksonville area, Tyler area, and to keep him there, they gave him the defensive coordinator job in football.
Mm-hmm.
So he was back, and Flint goes, I don't know what to do. I said, I'll coach it. I'll coach baseball, but I'm going to have some options when the season's over. I'm either going to go straight baseball or go back to straight football. One of the two. I'm not going to. I don't think I'll do them both, but I want that option as well. He said, okay. And Flint was working us about 96 hours a week. Didn't even know my kids or my wife. I said, I believe I'm going to stick with baseball. So that's when I became.
So you never did both. You just went straight to baseball.
No, I
and
did
that was it?
baseball and football 1 year.
1 year.
91.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And it was.
But,
man.
I graduated in 85, and I played high school baseball for 2 years, and I stopped playing because nobody gave a damn in Lampasas about high school baseball, and I think a lot of districts were like that. Like, it was an afterthought. It was kind of what you were talking about. Rise was saying, hey, we got to find one of our assistant coaches to go coach the baseball kids.
Jay, I have sometimers disease, whereas I get a thought and I'm talking about it, and then I completely forget what I'm talking about.
I've got a little of
I
that
told
too.
Flint,
Yeah.
Rockwall can be a football town, and it can also be a baseball town. And he said, well, good luck with that.
Right.
And
That's what I was going for.
I said, if you will share athletes, we can do both. And he said, well, that's not going to happen, but go ahead. And so I took off, went to the little, rec league ball games at Tuttle Field and started throwing people together and getting to know them and stuff like that. And
Sorry. There. Got to turn it off.
if that
feel
would
like
have
Talley.
been me,
Does that happen during the game?
oh my God!
Hey, let me do it. Let me do what Tally does on a
I
broadcast.
answer it though.
I was
No,
gonna
he
say-
had Tally on a broadcast and go, hey, I'm on the air right now. Let me call you back.
right into the microwave.
Yeah. And I'm like, what are you doing?
Are you doing Dale or Tally?
I'm doing Tally. That's
Quit
Tally.
sounding
talking
a little
like
bit
I'm
more
a
like-
smoker. I'm not a
That's what I'm
smoker.
saying. That sounded more like
Yeah.
Is that Dale? Is that more
Yeah.
Dale? I don't know. That's what I hear with Tally.
I feel like I've heard that over the speakers, like in the middle of the third inning.
No, it starts with, may I have your attention, please? That's what Dale starts with every time.
Anyway,
Yeah.
so I just said, if you'll share, and Flint's idea of sharing was anybody who played baseball could play football.
Mm-hmm. Right? But anybody plays football, can they go over to baseball?
They were encouraged not to.
Exactly.
But some of them during that time were good enough to where they could do both. And that's where it really started out, was when they started doing both.
And so, for those that don't know, you bring Coach Harvey in on your staff. What year did you join the Rockwall staff?
It's
It was 29 years ago, whatever that was.
his,
Okay,
his,
I can't do math.
his first year to volunteer was
96.
91.
Okay.
Another football coach wife arranged it to where Greg could come out before he went to spring training and work out with us. And so we'd let him do that. And he sort of became our quasi-volunteer pitching coach until he left for spring training.
Okay, I was going to say, you're still in the minor leagues then, right? Okay.
And
Go ahead.
I'm calling him. I'm one dialing and calling him.
With a 9 first? You have to do a 9 to get out, don't you? And then a 1?
It was at home.
At school.
Oh, it was at home.
At school,
At school you do. Okay. Okay.
One, and then I call Harvey wherever he was.
Couldn't call
tell
long
him,
distance at school.
That's true. Good
tell
point.
him about the game. And he was actually interested in what we were doing and how we were doing it. And then eventually the day came where I said, what do you want to do? And he said, I want to do what you do. And I said, well, you're going to have to get a degree. How many hours you got? I think he had about 11.
That's not true.
All in PE.
All in PE.
It's close.
14.
But anyway, I told him he was going to have to get a degree, and then I told him you're going to have to sell yourself as a football coach.
Wow.
You tell them you're a baseball guy, and you're going to be run out of Dodge.
Because they want both, right? Or they want football, and then maybe if you can go over to baseball.
Back in that time, you had to get up on the board and draw cover 2.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Cover 4.
You had to know it.
Or it's like, okay, thanks for.
So you did the same thing.
Appreciate it.
You had
Same
to do
thing.
football, all that.
Same
okay.
thing.
Yeah,
12 years.
Was,
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
I told every guy who ever wanted to volunteer that. I said, you do not even bring up baseball.
I used to tell guys this. It's changed a little bit, but I used to tell guys, hey, if you want to get a good baseball job, you better be a good football coach.
Right.
And it's changed a little bit. I still think it applies.
Yeah.
But if it just opens up more doors for you.
He started coaching football at Williams, and I couldn't believe the transformation.
Yeah.
But anyway, back to that story. What do you want to do? I want to do what you do. Da 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 da. And then I said, well, let's dig deeper. And he goes, I want your job. And I said,
That's honest, man.
Yeah,
I like that.
That is. And you're now looking over your shoulder.
well, I've got my job.
That job has
I'm
been
happy
gotten.
with my job right now. Yeah.
He flat said, I want your job. And I said, well, you can't have it. I'll just be honest with you. And, it went on with Payne and Harvey. Both came about the same time. Somewhere it got to where they were a year apart, but I always thought you came the same time. I don't know.
So I think that stems from me being there during when I was still playing. Yeah.
Probably so.
Because he started 1 year. He actually was officially 1 year in front of me.
Okay, you were at Brandenburg.
It was at Jackson.
Same thing.
Jackson Middle School in Garland, Texas.
I know where Jackson is.
Yeah.
Well, let's remind everybody both of y'all are Garland
That's
Owls.
right.
That's correct.
Right. And I know y'all are proud. The most famous alum from Garland
here we
is
go.
David Koresh.
That's right.
So y'all wear that owl shirt with pride.
We do.
Let me tell you how bad the Owls and the Eagles were rivals.
Let's explain to everybody Richardson.
I went to
yeah.
Richardson, and they were the rivals of the Garland Owls, and the Garland Owls were our rivals.
Right.
And so my dad's getting, months left in his life, and I would put him in the truck, and we would drive around, and he was telling me things that he had never told me before. He had weakened down to where he was letting it all out.
Yeah.
And I said, so when did you become an Eagle? As a ninth grader? And he said, I spent one day as a Garland Owl. I said, what? This broke my heart. I wanted to pull off into a ditch.
Yeah.
I said, what? And he goes, yeah, we lived on the zone at Aldelia and Forest, and that house that Mamaw had, that's where we lived, put me in the Garland School District.
Yeah.
I said, well, how'd you get out after one day? He said, I went in there and lied about where I lived.
They didn't check or do anything?
Took your word for it.
Before the days of
Yeah, it's true. All right.
You couldn't just Google it real quick. Yeah.
No.
You probably went in and said, I want to start a cult following that would meet in Waco. And they said, you know what? We already got one of those guys. Let's go over. That's crazy.
But every day that I was with him after that, he would tell me to do something and I didn't want to do it. I'd go, "You're garland now. I'm on a listen."
Couldn't live it down.
That's great. That is great.
Hey, did you get a
Anyway.
new tattoo?
No.
No.
I don't think
I don't remember that being colorful like that.
Oh, I did get that one.
Oh, that's Randy Ready Watt.
Ready kilowatt.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's new.
Yeah.
How many you got now?
10.
10.
Had 9 last time.
Yeah, exactly. That's new
Okay.
since the last
Yeah.
podcast. And Randy, was it Randy? What's his name? Ready Kilowatt.
His name is Sparky.
That's right.
But
He's on the book covers when we were growing up. He was on the book covers, right?
You said you weren't going to talk about stuff we talked about last time.
I know, but you
you're
didn't have
rerunning.
that.
I didn't hear this. So
Yeah.
that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Y'all remember him on the book covers, right? Ready Kilowatt? You don't remember him? It was either Dr. Pepper book covers or the
paper book covers.
The paper
that you,
ones, yeah.
I'd say Dr. Pepper more.
Yeah, Dr. Pepper was more, but you had the Kilowatt guy. I remember that. I mean, obviously he was something. Randy's got him on his arm.
That's
So-
for my dad.
Okay, all right. He worked in.
DP&L.
Yeah. I thought it was about the book covers.
No.
Not
Okay.
that one. Okay. Good
All right,
job.
That's book covers.
That's disappointing. I was hoping it was about
There
the
are
book
no
covers
book
that we
covers
used to
anymore.
doodle on and all that.
There are no books anymore, right?
No,
There are no
books
book
anymore.
covers. There are
Golly,
no
that's
books.
crazy.
My daughter's nursing in nursing school, and they have to get textbooks now. And she's like, "What the hell?
What is
books?
this?"
Yeah, what are we doing?"
Hey, Mac at Vandy, they are all in-person classes and all written.
So no online classes.
No online stuff.
That's
It's
Vanderbilt, though. Those
old
big,
school as you
smart
can get.
people.
Yeah.
That's why they're number
Yeah,
one.
exactly. And we're going
Top
to get to
3.
that in a minute.
Yeah.
Okay, just for the record, Richardson alums, Jeff Dunham, is the ventriloquist. He's from there.
Yeah.
And Bill Engvall
Yeah.
and Tim Kalishaw.
How come they never mentioned Jay Johnson? He was a very famous ventriloquist.
Oh, was he from Richardson?
Yeah.
Is that what y'all just pumped out?
So,
Ventriloquist?
God,
That was
so
your
y'all
gig?
known for the
Jeff Dunham was
Radio goobers.
Jose Jalapeno.
Yes. That's right. Yeah, he's pretty good.
great.
He's
So
pretty
some
good.
schools it's baseball,
So
football, or
they push out
home
ventriloquists. Go to
we gotta
another
have
one.
them.
Do you know the
I guess Coppell did mimes. Did y'all punch out mimes because you went to Coppell?
Do you know the
didn't know any
sprinter
names.
for the Olympic team of the women, Shanae Richardson?
Yeah,
She's from Richardson High School.
It's-
She's sort of famous.
she is. That's pretty
Okay.
good. That's
All
pretty
right.
good. There you go. We have nobody from mine, so I mean, y'all a lot better than me. We got Johnny Lamb Jones. That's all we got, and nobody remembers him anymore. That's too old. That's 70s.
That was your claim to fame.
That's all we have. That's all we have. But anyway, okay, I want to kind of go back to when you're coaching. We talked about this off the air, but I want to bring it back up. I'll start with Coach Harvey. When you got a player that's kind of, his parents may be important or whatever, that kind of deal. Jay, you were bringing it up.
I always think.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I was just thinking there's some potential awkwardness there with friends that are parents and kids that are kind of no good. Like how does that work out?
Well, I mean,
Never happened, right?
I mean, it's been this way for me since day one. That like I make it very clear that I don't care who you are. I don't care what our relationship is. I don't care how much money you have. I don't care. You could build us a dome, and that's going to be great. But if you
You'll still take the money, right?
I'll take it. Yeah, well,
kids ain't gonna play.
you
necessarily.
you can give us anything you want, but if you expect something from it, then you're doing it for the wrong reason. Because I want to win, and we're not going to play kids that can't help us win. So, I mean, it all boils down to that for us. I mean, I have relationships with people, but they understand that. We're not going to cross that line because I want to win.
Yeah.
And it's not going to help us win to play somebody because they donate money or because they are friends of mine or because they're whatever, So I've held the hard line on that since day one, and really that comes from Coach Talley, and he is probably the master at it, and I learned from him, and that's the way we've been doing it.
So Barry, the same thing.
Yeah, I mean.
But you come new to Rockwall. Does that make it a little easier because you don't have a history or not?
I mean, it was the same way when I was at Wakeland. It's like your best guys are going to play, like, period. It doesn't matter if they're a freshman, a sophomore, and versus a senior. You know, my big deal, like at our parent meeting, it's on a slide and it says, there are no turns. Like, just because you're a senior does not mean you get your turn to play. You know, so like if there's a freshman that comes in, he's better than the junior or senior. If he's better than the guy that played last year, that dude's going to play, you know, because just like what Greg's saying, like, you know, we want to win. And you know, you kind of establish that early and stick to it. And, you know, there's no problems, you know, after that. Now, there may be some conversations that have to be had, you know, at some point. Most of the time, those conversations are, you know, I meet with our kids 2, 3, 4 times a year, you know, and then off and on daily during practice or whatever. And you kind of let them, as long as you let them know the expectation, you know, kind of cut that off and you communicate. It's like any job, you know, if you communicate, you're going to be fine. You know, it's when the kids don't tell the parents what you talked about, and then they want to talk, and you're like, "Hey, did you ask your son?
You're missing out also.
Did you ask your son? You need to talk to your boy. You know, because we've talked
that happens.
About this.
Like my wife just came home with a story about that today. About
it's in
teaching and all that. It's like the kids are not given all the information.
Yeah,
you know, there's given what helps them, of course.
Yeah,
and it puts a big bullseye on you at a certain point. Yeah,
right. Well, I think it's in anything. It's in any business or whatever. You're gonna
hire. The fact that Harvey heard me in our parents' meet and greet meeting at the start of the year before a ball was thrown. Y'all are in here as groups of parents, and I'm gonna be able to keep 8 mom and dads happy. 8. The DH's parents think he should be good enough to be playing as well.
Right.
And the kid
DH is designated hitter, Jim.
I knew that.
Okay.
I just Googled it.
Okay.
The kid he's DH'd for thinks he ought to be hitting.
That's right.
Wait, who is that?
We just gone from 10 down to 8 parents.
I think we said this last year. It's like the parents always want you to play the 8 best players and
their kid.
And their
exactly. Exactly.
You know, that's one of the great thing about sports. It's an equalizer. I mean, it is.
You can't do
subjective.
DEI.
Yeah, but I mean, it's subjective. You know, I mean, to a certain degree, but the politics and all of that, if you want to win, you're going to play the best.
Well,
no matter.
You come watch. I just tell them, you come watch practice every day.
Just come to practice.
Just come practice.
I invite all of them.
That's the bottom line.
I do too. It's open. Our gates are open.
Yeah.
Come watch practice.
Yeah.
You know, you watch them 20 hours this week and tell me who you would play.
Right.
And there isn't a coach in America who wouldn't put the 9 names down, 10 names down, that gives him the best chance of winning
that's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
You got to keep your jobs to a degree as far as winning. Yeah.
Yes.
And so you can't sit there and risk your livelihood because Junior's dad is on the board or whatever.
Now, at the same time, and I've heard, I'm stealing this from another coach, but, you know, he said, you know, if I can win 12-6 versus 12-0, but play a lot, like get a lot of guys some at-bats, you know, that come to practice every day. Like I look for opportunities to give these guys action, you know, and you want to keep them. And the other side of that too is like, if I can give this kid an at-bat, well, then I've got him sold on this team, you know, for the next month.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. I did that same thing to a fault.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
because you start liking the kids, you start liking the people, and you want them to succeed, right?
Yeah.
And
Coach Payne told me one time, I guess I want to win a little bit more than you do.
That's great. That sounds like I can hear Jeff say it right now.
As long as the game's in hand. The game's got to be in hand. I'm not going to do it at the expense of the dub.
I remember, you know, as a parent, when your kid's playing, even if your kid's doing great, or if they're doing bad, you always feel like, and you all have had kids play sports, obviously, you always feel like, even if he played a ton, he should have left him in a little longer. He was in a groove. He was in a groove.
He was
or if he's not playing, why are you not giving him a chance? This guy can do stuff. And you always feel that way as a parent. And it's hard. It's hard.
Yeah.
Has anyone here been physically threatened by a parent?
No.
Has it ever gone that far?
Physically,
or not physically?
No.
I got sued for $4 million.
No, you didn't.
Yeah.
What's that story?
The kid didn't become a Major League Baseball player.
And that's on you?
Can we get a name? Can we get a name?
No.
Wait, are you that's
still
for real?
pending.
Yeah.
Seriously?
Rockwall ISD, the superintendent, the athletic director, and me.
No way.
Yeah.
How long ago? I got to Google this.
2003, 2004.
Just
Who's running this railroad, Jay?
That's
Nobody.
a camera cover.
Yeah.
It's a lens cover.
That's okay.
Almost
Over
took me
here.
out.
Shoulder out of the way.
Oh, it bounced. Oh,
yeah,
my
you're
shoulder
still,
hit it?
You're still good.
Am I blocking
away.
Greg? I just am worried about blocking
I'll
Greg.
get you up to speed.
Only
on
about
my
Greg's got a
equipment.
great shot.
Only about half the time.
Of course, Billy's got his own camera.
Right.
When you do this,
It blocks you?
Yeah.
Oh. See, Greg's watching every minute.
no, it's good with me. I'm fine
I'm
with
looking over. I'm like, what is he?
I'm
looking
like,
In his
oh,
mind,
the
he's like,
monitor.
that son of a
Well, I need to go this way.
Were you looking for your good side? Yeah.
But you do, like, we were talking about it. Like, I remember when Kerry Moon would be in the booth with us?
Yeah.
And his son, Garrett, was catcher.
He's a good player.
He was.
Yeah.
He was very good. But we would joke around because Kerry's sitting there in the booth. This is back at the old ballpark where you're at ground level. All you're doing is looking at the umpire's ass is all you're doing from our level. But anytime there was a ball that got by Kerry, it was always, that's a wild pitch, because he's sitting right there. Or one got by Gary.
Not a pass ball.
Yeah, there was never.
That is one of the hardest things to differentiate between is a pass ball or
It's
a
really
wild
not.
pitch.
Right.
And with him doing Game Changer, it was always a wild
It was always wild pitch. That ball could have gone right through him.
That's why Game
It coulda
Changer's in the dugout.
And we're like, man, another wild pitch. This pitcher is struggling, Randy. I don't know what we can say. And he's throwing it right down the middle. But no, Kerry was great. But I would think that that's got to be a part of the gig.
Game
or whatever.
Changer's a little juiced.
It is. Yeah,
throughout the world.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. We give Joe Whippy a hard time when Joe is doing it. I think every one of his kids about 600.
You know how many
That's what I
college?
thought.
You know how many college coaches look at Game Changer?
None.
Really?
That's what I always use that. Like, hey, do you think the A&M coach is looking at Game Changer? No, not.
And
And by the way, did anybody see A&M lost yesterday? Number one team.
I don't know what you're talking about.
probably Texas State.
They lost
some
to
team down south.
Yeah, some team down south took it to them. But anyway, okay, I want to get back to that college recruiting or recruiters because obviously in high school baseball you can have professionals looking too. Coach, I'll go to you. Coach Harvey, I'll go to you. I think what these recruiters are looking for. I saw a fascinating Twitter the other day, and I got to go find it, but it was basically a guy outlining here's what the recruiters are looking for, and here's what parents think they're looking for. Is there two different worlds there? Like, what if you're a pitcher, what are those recruiters looking for? When they're looking at the kid.
I mean, you gotta throw hard.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you're 86, 87, I mean, they're not really interested.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I mean, even if you can get people out, they want to see velo and.
Has that changed any, or has that always been that way?
Always been that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it's always been
Okay.
that way.
Okay. Even if he's hitting, even if he's got accuracy, I would think that would be something. No,
I mean, they end up. They obviously have some of those guys, and those guys that are, that can do that. That can hit, throw their fastball where they want to throw it, and have a good changeup and good breaking ball. Those guys are getting outs for them, but they're not the frontline guys that are.
And they're
running it up there at 94 now. Nowadays, if you throw 88 to 92, you're just kind of
Average
in
yeah.
college. I mean,
that's crazy.
It is crazy.
So, what were you throwing when you were playing in college, and then you go into the minors? Like, what was your velocity?
I mean, there were different guns then, different radar guns. Okay, so if on a ray gun, which was prominent back then, that measured the baseball out of your hand, and then it would measure it again at the plate. And I was around 91 on that gun. So on a jugs gun, which measured the ball out of the hand, I was probably 94-ish, 95.
94, 95 difference. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And then what do you think? Like when you talk about infielders, because I would think that, and all y'all jump in here, that you got a ton of obviously position players out there that they're looking at.
Yeah.
What makes a guy stand out amongst all those players? I mean, is it hitting more important than anything else? They can always deal with the fielding, or is fielding crucial? What do you see?
I mean, we both obviously we both send 7 to 10 players to go play college every year.
Right.
So like first off, there's different levels of college. It's not all Division I. There's guys that call from Division II, there's Division III, there's
junior colleges.
There's your really good JUCOs, which are like the ones that call like Blinn and McLennan and Weatherford,
Navarro.
Navarro. Those guys are on a little different level. And then you've got Division II junior colleges like in Oklahoma, like where Barrett played. Which is an opportunity to go play, and then you got Division III junior colleges. So there's all different levels.
NAIA.
We get calls because they have their recruiting niche of what they're looking for. So it's not just all like, hey, he doesn't, he's not throwing 92, he's not going to go play anywhere. It's like, we got a guy throwing 81, 82 right now that's getting a lot of looks, because
I've always thought
just
any
different
kid who wants to
level.
play at the next level.
But when you're
There's
talking
a spot
about,
for them. There's a spot for
there's
everyone.
a place if they
Well, that's what I
want
was going to
play.
ask, because baseball's unique than a lot of other sports where you can be good at one thing and get a shot.
Yeah.
Like if you're just great at hitting, and you can DHs, or if you're just we always have pitchers only on the rosters and stuff like that.
But when you're talking about, I think your original question was like you're talking about like what separates an infielder. Like I think of Jet, I think of Braden Randall, I think of Micah Kendrick.
Yeah.
You're talking about guys that are really electric on offense. They can really hit, they can really run too.
Yeah.
They can really pick it 3. And that, that's like, to get to that level, to get to draft, Ole Miss, TCU, they've got to really do that stuff.
If you can't hit, you can forget it.
That's what I was going to ask. Okay.
Yeah. If you can't hit a high school fastball, like if you can't hit an 88-mile-an-hour fastball, if you can't put the barrel on it, turn it around, you're not going to get looked at by Division I school.
No way.
Well, that's what frustrated me about the Rangers last year when they were struggling to hit a fastball. I'm like, this is the major leagues. How's the team struggling to hit a fastball? And there was a number of them doing it. They did hit it previous years.
A lot of times, especially in Division I, if you're not, 6'1", 6'2", 6'3", they
it's crazy.
Unless you're just like Jet or Braden Randall that are just different.
Those guys are special.
Right.
Yeah,
that's true.
You're pretty much not even considered.
And the thing that those guys did too is like very consistent. Like there's not a day where you're going to show up and go, oh, well, he made 3 errors and he struck out 3 times. That just doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Like,
he didn't.
It didn't happen to those guys.
They didn't miss. They didn't swing and miss a lot.
Yeah.
That's the big thing. Like swing and miss.
Harvey brought me a prototype chart from Pro Ball, and it showed the positions and what height you needed to be, what speed you needed to be, what weight you needed to be, all of that. And I remembered this stuck in my mind. The shortstop was 6'5".
Whoa. That was ideal.
I looked at Harvey and I thought, that's not true.
A-Rod,
yeah.
And he said, no, that's 6'4", 6'5", and it's because they want somebody who can stand 162 games. They can play the season.
That's another thing, yeah.
And it was all, that chart, it was as much about physical, what you could do physically is what you could do in the game of baseball.
That's why baseball's so great, though, because then you got guys like Dustin Pedroia, and I know Pedroia played second base, but you get outliers that when you do it, just what I was saying, like you do it over and over and over and over.
You can't ignore it.
You can't ignore it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, going back to these kids making it to the next level, how important is like attitude, mindset? Do the scouts care? Do they want to sit down and talk, or are they just watching? Psychologically, are they strong enough?
Scouts will show up when you don't know they're there, and they're watching. They're watching pregame. They're watching how these kids carry themselves because they want to. It's different than college. College, they want to know if you can play for them, right? Scouts want to know everything about you. And they want to build a relationship with the kid.
Like sit down, talk with them.
Yes, and they want to know that when this guy does go 0 for 3, that he's not going to lose it. That he's not going to go into a shell. They want to know that he's still going to lead when he's 0 for 3. That when things don't go his way, when a bad call happens, they want to know that he's not going to turn around and lose it on the umpire. They're looking at overall, because they've got so many kids that are all like right there. So
in 2002 or 3, I can't remember exactly when it was, but it snowed, and I had my deal was we were going to go outside. It doesn't matter what the weather was. We're going to go outside. So the Yankee scout calls me up, and he wants to know, what are we indoors today? And I said, no, we'll be outside. He said, doing what? And I said, well, we're going to get into the nets, and we're going to get some work done. And he goes, is Preston working? Preston Clark. Is he working today? And I said, yeah. And he goes, can you just tell me when he'll walk from the clubhouse down to the field? Can you give me a window there? I said, yeah, I'll tell you what. And it was during the days when you had to have study hall in the clubhouse. And so I said, yeah, we get out of study hall at 3:15, probably 3:16, Preston will be walking down to the field. And that guy was sitting out there on the girls' softball bleachers looking over the deal, like a little Kilroy's here. And watched Preston walk from the clubhouse down to the nets and left.
That's what I wanted. What was he looking for?
I have no idea.
You could tell an athlete by the way they walk. You could say that guy's probably an athlete.
He could have thought that he was getting over an injury or something like that.
Well, if he's on time, how he's talking to his teammates. Yeah. How what kind of language he's using, like what kind of kid is he in general, that's what, like Braden and Mac both played on that Ranger scout team, and I think Jet played on it, the year before, and those guys, they build relationships with those guys, and they want to know like what makes them tick, and
they dig into, it's everything. It's all the way as deep as you can go. They
well, now with social media too, they can find that stuff, right?
Yeah, that social media is a big deal for them. Those kids got to keep it. if there's bad stuff on there, they're going to find it.
Oh yeah.
The way they act in failure is really what they're looking for more than anything.
Okay,
not how good they can do what they do.
They know they're good.
Yeah, it's how they act in failure, and are they going to work hard? And like Kanan Smith was he was a big time pro prospect, and he's still playing, but they looked at his body and they said, we're not sure about this, and I said, well, look at his dad.
Right. Right.
His dad is, exactly the build that anyone would want to be. Right. And I said, as he grows, he's going to mature into that. And they were like, I don't know. So, just their body type, the way they carry themselves, how hard they work, the way they play catch, the way they come on and off the field, the way they react to a pop up or a strikeout or making a mistake in the field. That's where they really make their decisions.
So and you talk about that because I go back to the old days, and you said you can tell an athlete the way he walks, but I remember guys like Mickey Rivers. Remember him? He walked like he was 80 years old when he'd walk up to the plate. He was bent over, and he was kind of take his, and then he'd hit it and fly and go.
Like a 3.9
yeah. And so I see sometimes you see this evolution of what people are looking for, but I wonder how many players that hurts. And you talk about heart and hustle and all that because you had the Freddie Poteks and all those guys back in the day. Is it harder then for a guy, I'm assuming it is, for a guy that doesn't have the stature or doesn't have the speed, but he's still a damn good ball player to get past those guys?
It's consistency.
It's consistency.
It's consistency. Yeah. Like if he does it if he posts every single day.
Will there be a player that is extremely good, but they don't like the attitude and they're like, I'm out?
Oh, yeah.
Is that pretty common?
I got one from a couple years ago that's out of the game.
Okay.
Yeah.
That been on to college and
it
stuff?
Ate him up.
Oh.
Yeah.
There'll be really good players, too, that perform wonderfully for you, and then when the lights get bright,
right,
they just wilt.
The pressure.
Well,
5 o'clock.
And
hitters.
I have one currently. My shortstop Alex Cooley, who's a junior, he's not, he's about jet size. He's not going to be recruited by Texas and A&M and Vanderbilt and all those, the big time D1s. But he just received an offer from Louisiana Lafayette, who's a big time program, because he is an absolute dirtbag. I mean, he works all the time. He's we run sprints. He's the first in the sprints. We get on and off the field. The way you carry yourself, the way you play catch, just all those little intangibles, he's got them.
Yeah,
that's a very affectionate word.
I like that. Just start using that word.
I love it.
I love it. That stuff too. That stuff carries over to your team. It affects the rest of the team.
Well, I was thinking of too. You sent me a clip this morning. You saw that guy, that pitcher.
Yeah.
We got Texas State as a pitcher, and he did well last night. But all he did was scream and holler and talk to himself. He was putting on a show on the mound. Now, he did great, but people didn't mention when he played the week before, his ERA coming into that game was like 138 because he had given up like 4 runs, 5 hits. He didn't get it. He only got 1 out or something. So he comes into this one and does well. I just start thinking, what is the coach thinking about this guy? Because
everybody loves it when you win.
Exactly. But, I mean,
when you lose,
what was he doing when he was giving up dingers and stuff? And so that's got to be something that's on a coach's mind. Would that bother you if you got a player that's out there mouthing all the time, only when it's good, but when he's struggling, what's your thought process on that? Is that something where you got to pull him aside and say, listen, dude, you got it?
I mean, I've had it, man. I've had one of my best players a couple years ago, and it was a struggle.
Yeah.
And it was he's one of your best players, and so it is constant. I think you all know who I'm talking about.
I think everybody knows the name here.
And it is constant, talking to him and coaching him and mentoring him, and then it's just, eventually you're like, hey, this is not going to fly in college. Like, you can't do this in college. And you keep telling him, and they're a great player. And get to college, what happens? You're out of college.
Yeah.
It's just like, it just, and eventually it's going to catch up to you.
Everybody goes to college. You did this, and both of y'all played in college. When you get there, it's a whole different ball game, isn't it? As far as from your high school team to a college team, now, and so kind of explain that or talk about that a little bit, because I've heard from others that have played in college. They said it's almost like a job when you go there.
Well, I mean, first of all, when you're at high school and you're one of the top players on your team, and now everyone that's on your team in college was a top player on their team. So everyone is as good as you, or you may be a little better than them, but boy, one little tick, some couple of mistakes, and all of a sudden now you're shuffled down, and
you got to handle it,
and you've got to be able to handle it. You got to be able to work through it. But I mean, it's a different animal there, because they're all really, really good. They were all, you look at a college lineup, they probably all hit 3 and 4 hole in their lineup in high school. So they're all good.
Somebody's got to hit 8.
Yeah. Did you start having less fun when it got to college? I've heard so many guys say that's when I stopped having fun.
Well, I mean, my experience was a little different because we weren't any good at my high school, but
so it was all about the fun, right? It was just
so winning was kind of
I really
cool.
liked winning, and at Seminole, I really liked winning, and I was really, really good there. So I had a little more fun in college than I did in high school.
Yeah.
What about you when you were playing in college? Did it take some of the juice out of it, or?
No, it was fun. I mean, I could hit a little bit, but I wasn't a great college player.
Like this is it? This will probably be it. When you're playing.
You kind of see that.
Like I did in 5th grade. I knew this is it.
I was in kindergarten.
I've peaked.
I was talking to a friend who he played football for the Eagles. He said the first time that he did not enjoy playing football was the first day he went pro.
Yeah.
He was just like, it was never fun again. It was work. I was scared. I was,
Yeah, I tell all of my players, I like this is going to be, for the most part, there are a few exceptions, but for the most part, the most fun you're ever going to have playing baseball is right here, right now.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
Because you're playing in front of all your classmates. You're playing on a team
Playing
that's
for your
really
school.
good. We have a chance to be
growing up with all these guys.
great. Right.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
and when you move on, it becomes a business.
Yeah.
And
That's
especially
what I hear.
I
That's
can
what
tell
I
you-
a lot of people.
I
even
can
more
tell
and
you-
more now, it's more of a business now than it used to be, because
Yeah.
now you're dealing with all the other stuff and the the NIL money and all that stuff. It's a business. When you get up there, if
Billy,
you don't perform, you're not going to keep playing.
I want to go to that NIL. You brought up NIL. We talked about this.
Yeah, you were saying this is
so college
could creep
obviously
in.
has NIL, and that's a big deal in the recruiting now. In fact, I feel like it's swayed it so much that kids aren't. Is it got a flat tire? Is it a flat tire? Okay.
No, not yet. Not yet. So,
He's just wondering
I
what
saw
time
him
it is.
checking his phone. I was like, "Oh man, she's pulled over. I gotta go."
torn under.
Told me 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
Told me 8 o'clock. It's 7:30.
Where are we at? Yeah, we got to wrap up. The flat tire scheduled for 8. So
Call me at 8, honey.
yeah. But this NIL thing, it's across the board in colleges, where these kids are picking schools based on money a lot now. And I'm assuming that worries y'all, all of y'all, to a degree, because I'm assuming that, never gone through the experience, but you got to go to a place that, you want to be and not just look at the dollar figure. I want to know what you think about that. And is there a chance this stuff can start slipping into high school, this NIL thing?
There's been some talk, right?
Yeah.
There's in California they have NIL in high school.
In Florida,
The number of kids it affects is very small.
Okay.
Right. So I mean, as far as like us being worried about it, I'm not worried about it slipping into our area at all in high school. As far as like college, the number of kids again that it affects is very small. Like when you look at the total number of guys that go play baseball, again, we have 7 to 10 guys go play every year, right?
most of them aren't getting any money.
Most of those guys are not getting any money. Now, there are a few that we've had play for us that are receiving some benefits from stuff like that.
And what does that look like? Like, how are they approached? What are they doing? What are they?
So it'll pay for their school.
Who's paying them? Companies?
It's very vague.
Is it?
It's very vague.
Yeah.
You can have it.
It'll pay for their school. It'll give them some payments. The better they are, the more they're going to make. Obviously,
The higher, the more of a pro prospect they are.
Yeah, the more.
Okay, so baseball hadn't been hit as hard with it, because you see the football where these guys are all.
It's not even close.
They're even divvying it up.
It's not even remotely close.
Okay.
Yeah,
a lot of places.
We're not seeing like a guy go play shortstop.
No.
At somewhere for $3 million.
Okay,
Yeah.
but I even like Jet. If he was playing now.
Jet could have gotten anything he wanted.
Because a guy like that,
he was offered.
I think
he was offered, and I'm not going to name the school, but he was offered that his whole family could fly on a jet to every away game that they played at. I mean,
what it will do is, for some guys, it will, if they get drafted.
Does that need to be cut?
Why am I just now hearing about this?
When you look at me like that, I feel like we need to edit.
You're like, what did I say?
Something that
You need a
could
break?
be brought up.
You need a break.
No.
Well, that's like the jacket. The jacket jet.
It will take
the jacket jet. Yeah.
If a guy gets drafted and the school offers enough, it could entice a kid to stay in school another year, though. If they have draft leverage still.
But you don't see it like you said that in Florida and California, it's dipped into high school.
High school, but you're talking like very
elite,
very
top.
elite.
Yeah, okay.
I would even say very elite.
Yeah,
just football.
Yeah, I was going to say because you saw like Quinn Ewers a few years ago stopped playing his senior year. Those kind of things, and it really worries me a little bit about and that leads me to the next thing, which is
if we're talking about Duncanville football,
you're on a different level.
Yes, Duncanville football is a college, basically, and
Landon Ammerman he's not probably going to get any NIL money, but
he's going somewhere.
Throws 86 and gets people out.
Yeah, exactly. Back in your day, was it this? I mean, what was it like when a recruiter?
Did you guys have NIL back then?
There were wood bats, Billy.
I know. You had the wood bats.
Metal. They were more metal.
Oh, the
Pants
metal
were baggy.
I played with wood bats.
All the
Jackie
video was them
Robinson,
really
33.
fast, and then you throwing it.
If you didn't want to go Jackie Robinson, you hit another fox.
Y'all would leave your gloves on the field when you switch
No.
innings. But how was the recruiting, back in the 90s and into the 2000s? And it didn't seem like, it seems like it's a lot more sophisticated now than it was then.
Now there's NAI. Let's start out with that, but then it goes to NCAA Division I, Division II, Division III, the junior college, Division I, Division II, Division III. There's 7 levels that you can go to.
You got kids that aren't playing a lot getting scholarships or getting offers. Yeah.
I got some.
I had a third.
Had 2 last year.
My 2005 team, third team first baseman, got a scholarship to Tabor University in Kansas. And he called me up and he said, I know you're going to find this hard to believe, and I'm still playing ball.
And this is your third string, third
Third
baseman.
string first baseman.
First baseman, sorry.
Third
okay.
string first baseman.
Okay.
And I said, where? And he said, this place called Tabor University in Kansas. And I said, well, that's great. And he goes, they want me to pitch.
Did he pitch for you?
No. He didn't play first base for me.
Hey, I got one right now. He played last year, and he is playing college baseball right now, and he got there, and he threw 84 in the fall, and his coach went, hey, you throw harder than any of our pitchers.
Yes.
There is a place for you
so
to play.
So
if you want to go
every
play.
year when we have these signing days, I learn of new colleges I'd never heard of.
Yes. That's exactly
Great.
right.
That's great.
That's great for
I used to
kids,
do the graphics for them where they would sign and they'd put up on the screen, and I'd get some of these colleges. And normally you can go online and find. There's some of them I'm like, that's college ain't even online. I don't even know if this is like Southern New Hampshire College or University of Phoenix.
They may not even be accredited.
Yeah.
He called me and said, do you have any advice for me? And I said, yeah, your first pitch and start. You walk up to the catcher to where the hitter can hear you and say, dude, this is the first time I've ever pitched in my life. I have no idea where it's going, how hard I can throw it, if I can even throw a strike. So stay loose back there.
Head on a swivel. Yeah.
And I said, and then reach over and get you some dirt and put it in your lip like you're dipping dirt. And he did.
And he did.
And he said, I swear to God, the first guy looked at 3 right down the middle and never got the bat.
That is.